Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is for you. I'm Cyclone. It's time for more Let's Play Train Simulator Classic. We're going to go ahead and do the third Home for Christmas scenario today. It should be December 23rd today, if I have my information correct. Christmas Eve is tomorrow, and Christmas is on Sunday. Once again, happy holidays to everyone. We're not quite there yet, but we're almost there, so hope you got everything done you need to get done. And we're going to go ahead and continue our journey from Stranraer to Carlisle in our alternate timeline of 1975, where the port road is still open. And what we're going to do is we're going to be driving today from Castle Douglas. Actually, I'll read the little bit that's different in the blurb. It falls to you to work as a boat train. In part 3, you will work between Castle Douglas and Dumfries. So that's just a little bit near the bottom there, before it says modal power throws a class 50 diesel with the same error as the other scenarios. So we're going Castle Douglas to Dumfries. And not much else to discuss besides that. It's only a 35-minute scenario compared to the one we did last time, which was 70. So this is only a 35-minute scenario. Let's get started and let's get this journey done. We've just gotten the right-of-way, so we can set off now. We are booked to work non-stop to Dumfries, and the line ahead is clear, so this should be an easy run. Just watch your speed when going downhill. Easier said than done, right? Let's hide you. Let's get in the cab and let's get ourselves started here as we take the brakes off. You heard me do the AWS self-test already by pushing S, because you have to push S to bring the train into a status where the reverser is working. Pushing W will do nothing in this initial setup because, well, that's the top of the reverser when the reverser is in a neutral setting. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves up to 40 miles per hour to start off here. So as we came into Castle Douglas, we came to the end of the Port Patrick and Weekstownshire Railway, joint railway I should say. That line also includes the connection to the Kirkcudbright Railway. Kirkcudbright route fully exists on the western lines of Scotland, as I will demonstrate on a future scenario when I eventually head there. I know there are scenarios going there in the workshop, or at least on UK Train Sim, if not on the DLC itself. But I imagine there has to be at least one or two there. We have a Black 5 coming along, by the way. That is a Black 5. So I'm taking the throttle off. I'm letting the speed relax a little bit here. So actually, you know what? I can actually increase it. We're now on to 60, so let's increase a bit more. So I mentioned that we left that railway. We are now on what was referred to as the Castle Douglas and Dumfries Railway, which makes sense. It's a 35-minute journey to Dumfries from Castle Douglas, and that's all it is. There's no other line connecting, except at the Castle Douglas branch junction, where you get a connection to the Dumfries, I can't even read that, Dumfries, Lochmaben, and Lockerbie Railway, which, again, is a line that currently does not exist. So that line no longer exists. Of course, the line to Dumfries itself does exist, and is still used today, and that line does continue on to the Glasgow, Dumfries, and Carlisle Railway, which, if I were to connect to that, that particular route goes up nowadays to Cumnock, I believe. Actually, no, Cumnock's closed. New Cumnock is the station, and Auchinleck at the end of the railway in question, which is still an open station. So that is still available. A lot of the route from through Dumfries down to Annan has been closed. Annan is now the end of that railway. So a little bit of interesting information there that I may revisit on when we talk about Western Lines of Scotland later on. But I'm not going to talk too much about that today. I'm only going to talk about stations as we come through them, provided I don't miss them. That's the important part. We are going to be heading to Dalbeattie. We're going to pass at some point the Buittle station. Buittle, B-U-I-T-T-L-E. I'm not sure the exact location of that, but hopefully we see that at some point. It is going to be before Dalbeattie. I don't believe it is open in this incarnation of the route because I believe it is. I believe it closed in 1951. I'll talk about this more on future scenarios on the route. Today we're just going to go ahead and enjoy the Christmas scenarios and look at the sights as we go by. Nice snowy sights here. So I'm going to bring my speed down to a little under 50 right now. I want to just point out the time that we're working with. We have until 15:45, 3:45 in the afternoon to get to Dumfries. That is 17 miles away. if you were to assume that we were going in every minute half a mile, it would take 34 minutes. So as long as we get to exceed 40 most of the way, we're probably going to be in good shape. Now, there are going to be sections where we have to go down to 40, and we're going to see a 60 up ahead, of course. Who are you? What was that? That was a little strange. Just randomly got another noise of vehicle next to me, and there was no vehicle next to me. Usually when I hear that noise, there's someone in the passing lane, which doesn't exist on a railroad track unless you have multiple lanes going in one direction. In fact, I actually revisited the London to Brighton route, and I did the... I think that's a Class 50 that's passed, yes. Another Class 50. One of our brothers. I could be wrong on that, but let me just take a quick look at my train again and confirm that. And, yeah, I think it was the blue version of our green train. I think that's what that was. So I actually did revisit the London to Brighton route recently, and I was actually taking a drive to... through the 20-minute scenario that started off the entire route, the first one of the main scenarios that we did, which is a standard-only scenario. I forget the name of it now, but alphabetically, it's probably, I think it's the first one out of the 11 in question. And it was the one that stopped at East Croydon. I was actually driving along, and on the standard version of the scenario, I don't know about the career one, but on the standard one, you can actually go at pace with the AI train next to you as you're driving along. You eventually both make a stop at Clapham Junction, you both continue along, and then... I think he has to make a stop while you get to keep going. So it's actually kind of cool being able to ride along next to this train before and after Clapham Junction. It really is kind of cool. And I found that enjoyable when it happened. I don't think I actually got to do that in the actual scenario because I was still a fairly new player then. I was kind of bumbling around. So seeing it later on in the current form, like in the last month, it was actually really cool to see that. So you can have those interesting moments in the game that can cause a momentary thrill, and it's neat when those happen. Potential screenshot material too if you want it. Now I didn't see Butyl, but again it is closed, so I don't expect to be able to see it. That's fine. We are coming up on Dalbeattie. Now if you remember the Port Road scenario that we did where we had to deliver milk to the Carnation Milk Factory, which, by the way, I think is now a post office. If I remember correctly, I'd have to check the map to confirm. But when we made delivery of the milk to that factory, we started at this side of the route. And this was where the route ended. So we actually had a cow somewhere on the track, if you remember correctly. Why there was a cow on the track, I have no idea why they allowed that. But they did, 3 of them. One right in the middle of the track, and I'm sure someone leaving the other direction from Dalbeattie ran him over, but we won't talk about that. Yeah. Anyway, we followed the entire path to Dumfries in that scenario. So this is basically, with the exception of the fact we started at Castle Douglas, we're now basically retracing that route. So if you saw that scenario, we're doing basically the same thing now, except without the shunting that took place at Dalbeattie. We're not doing any Dalbeattie shunting today. We're just heading straight through. We're going to our destination at... Dumfries, or a stop at Dumfries, I should say, and then we're going to keep right on going in the last scenario. And the last scenario, I already am aware, is a much busier scenario, so I'm going to try to point out a number of the trains in that scenario as we go, but that's going to be a bit more of a challenge. So I don't expect to be able to point out every single train. I won't be able to. There's just going to be too many on the map for me to point out. This is one of the reasons I don't mind if a scenario has only like 20 or 30 AI. It gives you a chance to see what's going on. And in this case, it is about 20, maybe 24 AI. But the scenarios that have 70 AI, unless you are journeying for an hour, for 2 hours or more, there's not much point to having that much AI on a scenario. You're not going to be able to point it all out. It's just going to look busy. You're not going to know who anyone is. Maybe that's normal. I don't know. But just my take. Just my personal taste. Of course, I'm not... If I can get my speed to go up, that would be nice. I'm not going to be prejudiced against scenarios that have a lot of AI in them. It's just something I don't think is completely necessary. But everyone has their own taste. And the more AI means the more trains that are causing problems in your game with things loading. So the less of that can be happening, the better. So the speed limit coming up is a 50. I'm going to limit myself to 50. That means I'm significantly lowering my throttle at this time to try to maintain, but I think I'm still gaining speed. Okay, let's gain a little more. We are not on uphill. So let me try that again. We are not on a downhill. We are on an uphill 1 in 155 gradient, which just changed as I said it to a 1 in 148. And I think we're going to be going through a station right now. This should be Southwick Station that we're passing through. Well, not yet, but in a moment. In just a moment, we'll be doing that. Blow the horn for people wanting to take pictures. So that was Southwick. So getting back here to do stuff for my channel has been a bit of a challenge. Since we're back up to 60, by the way, and I think that's a 101. It's just passing by now. So it's a bit of a challenge to get back here to record more content. Again, I did the, at the time and it's actually going to match up with the broadcast, but I did my recording for Scenario 2 in this series, and Scenario 1 actually a few days ago. I think one on each day, so just like my broadcast. There you go. So I did those just the other day, and then I was out of town, meant to be for a couple days, because my mother wants some assistance. Again, you know, I'm gonna go help my mother if she needs help. I don't mind spending time there. It helps me save some money on groceries because she also cooks while I'm there, which is nice. Why not? Take advantage if you can get it, right? Not everyone has a chance to be with their mother on a regular basis, and it doesn't hurt to have a good relationship there. So that's what I'm trying to do, maintain a good relationship, obviously, with her. But I was there for a couple days, meant to be a couple days to come home on Wednesday, and then it turned out that more help was needed for something else. It was assumed that things were not going to get done, so I had to actually make a trip back in because I had to come in anyway. So we ended up making a trip in here to get my recycling, my garbage out and all that, and so that I could be gone for another day if I needed it. And sure enough, that was done. I was back out there, and then as I went to come home the next day, at the end of the day, my tire went flat. And it was kind of funny because I had gone around the driveway. She lives in the country, so I had gone around the driveway and or down the driveway and back up with her mail, and I had no problem getting out. But as soon as I left the driveway, tire just went flat again, right down. I shouldn't say again. Tire just went completely flat. I'd fixed that tire maybe 2 months earlier, 2 months ago, and it's already flat again. So it's like, okay, is this really worth fixing now? Do I really want to keep this tire? Do I really want to keep using this tire? Like, I don't know. It's not being very reliable for me right now. So I'm going to have to look into that later and see what I do about that. But I was forced to put the winter tires on today because I couldn't keep the spare tire on the car. The traction on the car was not as good as it should be, even though the brakes work and the brake system was fine. The traction's not as good with the spare because it's a different size than the other tires, so I couldn't keep that as the front tire. I had to change it out. So I had no choice but to put the winters on today because, you know, it's winter anyway. Might as well just get it done, right? So that's what I did. And can I not speed? Thank you. There we go. So I got the winters on. $60 or $75 later. It's a gut punch to my budget, especially with Christmas gift shopping right now. So trying to figure out how I'm going to handle that. I think I got enough, but we'll see. It is a bit of a challenge, though. Yeah, I'm not speeding. It's at 60 right now, so we're good. Oh, and I didn't mention the last station we passed through, by the way. The last station was Kirkgunsian. We're going to be going by Kilmarnock next, I believe, and then that's going to take us to Lochanhead, which is what the pointer is. So yeah, my tires are changed. I'm now good for safe winter driving, even though I'm probably not going to drive in snow very much because, you know, that's just dangerous. I have driven. If you're familiar at all with Canada's highway system, you know that there are highways similar to the interstates in the United States and the motorways in the UK. So we have the typical highways here too, in the southern part of Ontario especially. Pretty much anywhere else, there are not a lot of divided highways, but Ontario, we are ripe with them. We have all sorts of them. So we have the 400, which is from Barrie to Toronto, and actually it's supposed to be going north of Barrie to Sudbury once they finish converting Highway 69. Yes, we have a Highway 69. Don't laugh. Thank you. That I think was Kilmarnock right there. So once we so that's the Highway 400 is going to be eventually going all the way to Sudbury, but it is divided in a lot of spaces as if it was already part of the highway anyway. Once it's fully divided, they're going to renumber it as Highway 400, I believe. I just don't know what the progress of that project is. So there's also Highway 401, which goes all the way from Windsor, and there is a portion that is not open yet that's going to go to the new Ambassador Bridge. That's going to connect to the... Actually, I take that back. That part of the highway is open all the way to the end of the highway at kilometer marker 1. But there's a closed section that will go to the Ambassador Bridge that's not yet open. When that new bridge is built... Actually, I take it back. This is Kilmarnock. I don't know what the other thing was I mentioned. But when the new Ambassador Bridge is open, it's going to actually go all the way from that bridge to the Quebec border. I have driven the highway between mile marker 10 and the Quebec border going into Quebec on different occasions. So I have been on the entire highway at some point. I am very familiar with that highway for that reason. So the 401, there's also the 402 between Sarnia and London. I've been on that highway the entire length of it as well, so I'm familiar with that highway. Having a connection to Sarnia, in fact. Now, and a connection to London. I lived in London at one point as well. Now, there's the 403, which connects to the 401 to Hamilton. Been on that highway as well, and it goes through to where it merges back into the 401 and also turns into the QEW. And the another highway in Toronto. The 404 is within the area north of Toronto. I don't know where the termination of that one is. The 405 is just a small highway that connects near Niagara Falls to go to the United States. And it connects to the QEW. It's only about 4 kilometers long. 406 is a St. Catharines based highway, I believe, that goes south of the QEW. And there's a number of other ones. I'm not going to go over all of them. 407, 412, 418 are toll highways. 410 is a regular highway. And I'm not sure offhand what all the other ones are, but I know there are at least a couple more. So if you're familiar with those are all divided highways, the same kind of thing as with the highways in the United States and UK. You can't take a bicycle or a farm machine or anything like that onto those highways. You can't be a pedestrian on them. It's cars only. And it's fast, it's high speed. You're going 100, 110 kilometers an hour depending on the highway. So, yeah, fast roads, obviously. Now, what I was getting at with that, I don't know. I just started talking about that, and I completely lost my train of thought because I went too long with that. Yeah, I don't know what I was talking about anymore, guys. It'll come to me. I went too long with that. I was doing a discussion about interstate highways, and what do you know? I lost my train of thought. Happens all the time. But in any case, when I was talking about the tire, I couldn't drive on the highway with that spare tire. I had to get the tires changed today, so now the tires are safe. I can go driving on the highway again. Let's just assume that's what I was going to talk about after all that. But now you've had an education on the Ontario highway system. You're welcome. Here's Lochanhead. We're on a downhill now. We are entering a 50-mile-per-hour section. So let's go ahead and put a little brake on, make sure we stay under. Our ETA is now 15:38. So yeah, we're super early. We're going to make sure we travel well under the speed limit. We're down to 5-6 miles to go, and we are literally going to be there super early. At least 5 minutes early at this point. There is some vehicular traffic up there that's not going anywhere. What is it, rail fanning day? Like, what is that? I saw a bus there. Was that tourists? There is a 60 coming up at the end of the downhill section here. Great, now we're going to get to use the downhill to our advantage when it's not going to be ending. That makes sense. And here's the viaduct view, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh. Ah. Ooh. Ah. Enough of that. Back inside the train. There we go. And that comes back on. Now, unfortunately, I don't have really any notes on the route or the bridges and viaducts along the route. So unless I can figure out, unless the data set I have used for other routes in the past has that data, I'm not going to really be able to tell you what that bridge is or what that viaduct is. So it's probably safe to assume that viaduct no longer exists. I'm sure it is to protect the natural beauty of Scotland. Pardon my bad Scottish accent. I'll be punished by being forced to eat haggis. And if you don't know what that is, look that up. It's interesting. National delicacy. Alright, I'm going to let the train just gain speed now, because there's no reason not to. Dumfries is 3 miles away. I should be seeing Maxwell Town before Dumfries. I don't think I've seen it yet. If I have missed it, I'll just label where it is so you see it back there. I believe that is a siding that just is going off there. I don't... Well, maybe it's a track coming in from somewhere. I don't know what it is. But it might be a track coming from somewhere. Unless that was where the Dumfries, Lochmaben, and Lockerbie Railway came from. That could be what that is. This appears to be a... Now that might again be a class 50 or something like that. Maybe a class 31, I'm not sure. I don't have my notes again, so I can't tell you. Sorry about that. Again, if I remember, I'll put information in the text to tell you what it is. If I remember. We're still on a downhill, 1 in 92. So yeah, the downhill is not ending at all. We're almost at our new speed limit. We have a 40 coming up, so we're going to have an even newer speed limit. We're going mile a minute right now. Yeah, we're going to be there by 36, 37 minutes. That's looking very, very favorable for us. Okay, 38. There's a 30 up ahead. That's actually almost right. That's right before the station entry. The green is going to show up right behind that. This is Maxwell Town. There it is. I knew I didn't miss it. So Maxwell Town we just passed through. And there, as promised, is Dumfries up ahead on the HUD. It's going to probably zoom in momentarily as my speed slows down. I don't need to slow down quite yet, but you know what? Maybe I should just keep slowing down because, you know, I have oodles of time. They typically don't want you early. That might be the 101. We have color light signals now, so we are on a green signal. We can expect a regular yellow if the next signal is, after that, is at a red. So we are not looking for those distant signals now. We just continue to assume that we have color light signals all the way now, I believe. Because Dumfries and Carlisle are busy areas, so they get the color light treatment early. So I made it down to 40. There's the Carnation Milk Factory. I don't... Yikes, that scared me. You might have heard me hit the table. Sorry about that. That is a yellow signal that we're being warned about, or a speed drop. In this case, it is a yellow signal. The next signal is red, so we're going to screech this train to a halt. I was about to say I don't know what those vehicles are at the milk factory. Those are not milk containers. So, I'm going to pass on that little bit of feedback to the scenario maker, and I will inquire as to what those vehicles are, because it would make more sense if there are milk containers there. I'll see what... that might be different when you actually see it. I don't know if he's posted on the workshop yet, so it might be different by then. But that's just something in the version I'm playing, at least, that is very interesting. So Dumfries is protected. We made very good time, and that's why we are going to be forced to wait at the red signal. Assuming that it is still red. I can't tell yet if it's still red, but I'm going to slow down a little further anyway. It is red. I can see that it just turned yellow, guys. I'm going to keep going slowly because I feel like it, but I'm just going to show you what's going on up ahead. We are continuing down the path here. The train here must have just left the station, or something happened here. So somebody must have just left the station. I can't see them ahead. I don't know where they are, but there's the yellow right now. Apparently either a train just left, which is what I suggested, or we just have a red signal at the end of the platform perennially telling us to stop because we're not allowed to go any further. So one of those is true. But because we have all sorts of time, we have 9 minutes to make our stop. I'm just going to go ahead and cruise along at a slow speed and allow the people on board to take pictures. How are they doing back there? Great. Wonderful people here in first class. Oh. Ooh. That. Okay. I just got a private coach, apparently. There's no other alternate views, interestingly enough, so we're going to go with that. I got a private coach. There's no one riding with me. Couldn't take my ma with me. Sorry, Ma. They only let me ride the coach. You get to ride in coach. Sorry. I don't get to see what it looks like in coach either. I wish there were more views, but what can you do? So there's a train over there. That's a 101. It's static. It's not going anywhere. Now, it does say it's a passenger pickup, right? Yeah, passenger pickup. So we are going to stop here to pick up passengers once we get a little further along the platform, i.e. all the way. You can see that there is a refuel point up ahead here. I believe that is for water along the route. I'm not sure 100% where the coal is yet, but we've seen the water way back in a previous scenario. There's going to be another water point up here. Putting a little bit of brakes on to bring the speed down. Yeah, that's definitely water. You can see it. Who is that guy? We do have a red signal, so I'm going to just come to a stop here. Right next to the picture of this guy who is saying, "Made in Scotland whiskey." Made in Scotland. Let's do a passenger pickup right next to this guy. if I can push the right button. And we'll look at the train. Well, that is that. We're off to get some wonderful whiskey made in Scotland before we continue our journey to Carlisle. Yes, we drive drunk in Train Simulator. That is fine. No, I'm not actually drunk. Don't worry about it. I drive sober at all times. Anyway, oh, that's an interesting movement that bus made. Oh, I chose a great spot to watch traffic disappear. Awesome. Apparently we installed a time machine here, or a portal of some sort on the traffic road. In any case, we are finished part 3. Part 4 is going to be a longer drive as that truck disappears. Pop. Longer drive into into Carlisle, and I've been warned that this is a busier scenario, which I've driven 20, 30 trains in this scenario before. That's just fine. I don't mind it being busy. I like being busy, in fact. How long is this stop going to take? I can't talk forever, you know. There we go. Good work. There's an express coming in from Glasgow that's higher priority, so we'll be waiting here until 1600. Then we shall start the final leg of the run to Carlisle. So we're going to continue to Carlisle next time, or as I like to call it, Carlisle. Don't ask me why, I treat it like a flower. But Carlisle is next time. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see me driving to Flower City here. Or really, it's actually considered one of the most important train stations in the entire country. So we are going to be heading there next time. And see you for that. I'm Psycho. Make sure you also watch on my playlist, because the 4th scenario will be following tomorrow, Christmas Eve, right behind this one. Ooh, a moped. Or a motorcycle or something over there. So that'll be following right behind here. In the meantime, have a wonderful day, evening, night, whatever it is for you. If I don't see you tomorrow, have a happy holiday, but I hope to see you for the finale of this set. And then I'm going to announce plans for future scheduling on the channel at that time. See you then. The next video will start in 3, 2, 1.